With iOS 27, shortcuts will never be the same. Not only do we get powerful new actions like storing data in shortcuts, even global variables across iCloud, new automation triggers like screenshots, and even third-party app notifications, but the use model action is even more powerful. And yes, it came true. You can just ask your iPhone to make a shortcut for you. So let's look at all the changes. This is the iOS 27 Beta 1 running on my iPhone Air. The first thing you'll notice, the new shortcuts button is here at the bottom. So no more plus icon up here. When you want to create a new one, you just press new shortcut at the bottom. So let's create a new shortcut, and now rather than seeing the actions first, you have the describe a change box here at the bottom. Now you can just ask what kind of shortcut you'd like to make. Let's do a morning routine. We've made so many of those kinds of shortcuts. Let's say, make me a morning routine shortcut that gets the weather forecast for today, tells me the highs, lows, and precipitation, also tells me any calendar events and reminders that will be due. And then it's going to build the entire shortcut for you, and you can even ask it for changes once the shortcut is generated. And here's our morning routine. It says good morning, the weather, these are my events, and we also have the reminders at the bottom. Then if you actually want to jump in and see what actions it made, tap this button in the top right corner and you'll see all the actions. So it's getting the forecast, calendar events, reminders, using the use models action, Apple Intelligence. Then if you wanted to add anything or change the shortcut, you can just prompt it again. So let's describe a change and say, also include a line about any birthdays that might be today. I'll send that to the shortcut. And now let's just run the shortcut again. And we can see at the bottom it now added a special line just for the birthdays. Being able to build a shortcut with a natural language prompt and describing your change after it's built is incredible. And you can even describe changes for shortcuts that you built manually but want Apple Intelligence to make adjustments. It's even great at doing things like URL schemes. So let's describe a change here and ask it, create a shortcut that opens the display settings of my iPhone. I'll send that prompt. Now that it's created, we can run it and it sends me directly over to the display settings. If I want, I can open the actions and see the URL scheme it used and how it built the shortcut. Now this is beta 1, so this is very early, but I'm already impressed at the kind of shortcuts it can build. But get subscribed because as the betas progress and as we get to public beta season, I'm really going to put it to the test to see how complex these shortcuts can get, even using things like third-party APIs, lots of if statements. So get subscribed, and I'll be covering this in my shortcuts community, especially in our weekly live streams. We're going to be doing a lot of experimentation over the summer, and I'm going to be showing you some new actions right now in this video that we're going to be talking about in those live streams. And I have a deal right now. Membership is half off just this week of WWDC, so you can scan this QR code, become a member just for $5 a month or $50 a year. You get my weekly live streams, shortcut of the week, my shortcuts database, and I think that database is probably going to triple in the next year, being able to build shortcuts with natural language. So scan this QR code. We'd love to have you join, and you can just join for free and join almost 5,000 people in the community right now. But let's get to new automation actions because these are really exciting. Now, an interesting change here is the automations tab has now moved into this main library view. So it's going to be like a share sheet and Apple Watch section. Automations will live here rather than the tab at the bottom. And when you create a new shortcut, you can actually have an automation as the top action. So I'm going to go into the actions view and you'll see here the traditional shortcuts builder. And right under that search box, you'll see automation. Then you'll see all the familiar automation triggers. Now what's exciting here is it seems like I can now build automation-based shortcuts and then share them via the iCloud links. That has not historically been the case. So these automation actions will look familiar, but we have a few new ones and two that are really exciting. First, when a keyboard is connected. So maybe you're connecting a keyboard to your iPhone or you're connecting a keyboard more likely to your iPad. You can create an automation when it's connected, disconnected, or toggle either. And then when it's connected, you can have something run immediately. You'll see the normal automation triggers right here. And then maybe you want to do like an iPad split view or open certain apps. I'm going to be doing an entire video on iPad this week, so get subscribed and I'll go over more actions and iOS 27 features there. And we have a few others. Screenshot is now an automation trigger. So this can be when you save a screenshot to photos, files, or just onto the clipboard, and then you can take further action on that screenshot. You can even combine this with something like the use models action, and then you can say anytime you take a screenshot, do this. So let's just do something simple like describe this screenshot. And then we'll just show the model response. And now when I take a screenshot, this shortcut's going to run because it is in fact an automation. Send that to Apple Intelligence, and here we have the description. Now, rather than having to run shortcuts periodically to filter your screenshots or delete them, you can just have automations run as soon as you take the screenshot. Then you can have it saved to files, or maybe you want to extract the text from the screenshot, put it in Apple Notes, and then delete it. It's going to be lots of fun automations we can do with screenshots now, so stay tuned. Let's go back into the automations window, and this next automation action is something people have been asking for a long time. I'm going to go into this shortcut that I've been building since I downloaded the beta, and you'll see here at the top when I receive a notification from a third-party app. This is going to be extremely powerful. You'll see it down here in the automations when I receive a notification, and this can be from any third-party app. So as an example, when I receive a notification from Instacart, and then you can even filter this automation by what's in the title of the notification, the subtitle, or the message. So maybe I want something to happen when Instacart sends me a notification and in the message of the notification is arriving. This would be great for DoorDash as well. Then to make sure I know that they're actually arriving, maybe I'll use the intercom action and I could say something like, Instacart is arriving. So now even if I don't have my phone with me, maybe I missed the notification or I'm in a focus mode, the intercom is going to sound throughout my house when I get a notification from the Instacart app. And what's also powerful is I can pass through information from the notification into further actions. So if I put a show content action here and choose shortcut input, it looks a little different than before. It usually connects these, but when I do this, you'll see shortcut input is actually data from the notification. So you see I can have the title, subtitle, body of the notification, is time sensitive, and a ton more. Again, I know many people have been wanting automations for third-party app notifications. Now it's possible. We're going to combine these with smart home tools, pulling information from the notification, maybe saving it somewhere. Possibilities are endless. And as you're watching this, if you're thinking of shortcuts that you want to build with these new automations and actions, drop them down in the comments. I'm going to try and build them during the beta season. We're definitely going to be doing it in the community. So I'd love to hear your ideas or shortcuts that you've always wanted, especially this notifications action, that are now possible, which is awesome. Now, two other huge updates. There's a new action specifically to store data in shortcuts. And not only in a local shortcut, but you can store global data that syncs across your devices. So you'll see these new actions here. You can store content, get stored content, and delete stored content. So for instance, maybe I want to store content either from the clipboard or as output from the model. Now I'm going to build a clipboard manager in a minute using these built-in actions now, which is going to be awesome because it's going to be first-party actions, no third-party apps or hacks needed like with reminders. But you can also use this to store things like API keys. Or maybe I want to save a URL like primarytech.fm. That's my tech podcast with Jason Aten. New episodes every Thursday, and I'm going to be recording from Apple Studio this week. So get subscribed to that. I'll put a QR code to follow us on Apple Podcasts. Which, just a side note, I'm going to do an entire video on iOS 27 features we didn't see in the keynote. And there's some huge ones for Apple Podcasts, namely chapters and follow-along transcripts are coming back to shows with video in Apple Podcasts. So Primary Tech is going to have chapters once again for everyone come iOS 27. Now, let's say I want to store primarytech.fm as podcast, and that's just a variable that I can call anytime. Then I can also turn on the global variable option, and now I can call upon this data in other shortcuts and my other devices. So let me create a new shortcut real quick just to show you, and I'll choose the storage action again. Let's get stored content. And if I expand this action, I can get the global variable. And once that global variable is toggled on, I can tap here in the action, and I can see all the global variables I have saved. And if I choose the podcast content, you'll see it shows the URL. And what's great is if I tap the I here at the bottom, storage is right here, and I can view all my global variables, including API keys, any storage that I've done just in this particular shortcut. And if I wanted to add something manually, again, like an API key, I can make it a global variable for storage and do it all right here from that I menu. Now, this will work great also with things like lists. Now, I'm going to go to a clipboard manager that I actually prompted it to make. So the Shortcuts app actually built this just from one single prompt. It lets me save my clipboard and then retrieve my clipboard. So I'm going to delete these actions, and let's just start from here. We have our choose from menu. We're going to get the clipboard. Now that that is a global variable, the first thing I'm going to do is get storage. I'm going to put this at the very top of the shortcut. Again, I'm going to enable the global variable toggle here. And for get stored content, you'll see all my global variables. I'm going to choose Clipboard. Now, down under the Save Clipboard option, we're going to use another brand new action, which is Add to List. I'm going to drag that Add to List under the Clipboard, and let's add our clipboard item to the beginning of what list? I'm going to choose our clipboard storage item. And then we're going to add one more storage action under this Add to List. We're going to store this updated list. I'm going to turn on global variable. You'll see the options here, and we're going to save that to our clipboard. So let's run this. I'm going to save whatever's on my clipboard, which is relay.fm/MPU for Mac Power users. Let's also put beard.fm here on the clipboard. We'll run it again, save clipboard. Now we have multiple items on there, and let's save one more, like top5.tech. That's my weekly show on Fridays. I'll copy that, run the shortcut one more time, save the clipboard, and now when I run it, I can retrieve my clipboard right here. I get the choose from list, everything that I've been saving to my clipboard, and when I choose one, it puts it back on my clipboard for me to paste, and there we have it, it was back on my clipboard. So right now we have an entire clipboard manager using built-in actions and using our global variable storage. And just to show you, I'm going to take my iPad here, which is also running the iPadOS 27 beta. I'll go to that clipboard manager shortcut that we've been working on. And if all these global variables with the storage actions are working properly, I should be able to run this, retrieve the clipboard, and there we have it. Everything that I saved to that storage action is also available here on my iPad. Just recently, we were hacking reminders to do things like this, a clipboard manager, saving items to a list, and now we can do it all built into shortcuts using storage and global variables to sync across all the devices. Not only that, but I'm going to be using it to call API keys. So for like my ultimate movie and TV shortcuts that I made a while ago, I can now save my movie database API key as a global variable. I can also save my OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini API keys, and then just use that, the storage action, inside the URL for get contents. And when I run this, the shortcut is still going to work because it's pulling my API key from the storage area. And again, I can tap I, go to storage, and then add more API keys, label them, and then those will be available across all my Apple devices. Okay, and last thing, the use model action has gotten even more powerful. Let's add the use models action here, and you'll also notice in addition to cloud, we now have Cloud Pro for increased reasoning. And this use models action will actually have world context. That's also going to be a part of Siri AI. I'm on the waitlist right now, so stay tuned, we'll be testing that. But let's go back to that morning briefing shortcut that was using Apple Intelligence and that use models action. And when you're using this action in shortcuts going forward, in addition to seeing the response, you can now see the full processing of this use models action to help you debug. So rather than the model response, you can actually choose transcript right here. And if we run this same shortcut again, rather than getting that complete morning briefing that we got the first time we ran it, and now we can see the request, how it was thinking through things, and then the actual model response at the bottom. But we can also expand any of these pieces of data like the forecast and see what it was actually parsing, how it came to the conclusion. So as you're building shortcuts with the use model, if something's not working properly, you'll be able to see more of what it's doing behind the scenes to help you troubleshoot. So that's a high-level view of the big changes in shortcuts. Obviously, creating them just by describing it with a prompt is huge, but get subscribed, hit that like button because we're going to be talking about this all summer long. I'm going to be building shortcuts with these new actions. This opens up a whole new world of possibilities. I almost broke in a song there from Aladdin, but I'll refrain. And later this summer, I'm really going to put it to the test to see how complex this prompting can get. So stay tuned. I got videos on iOS 27 features, iPad, and Mac coming soon here on the channel. And again, 50% off my community membership. You can only if you sign up during this week of WWDC. So you have until Friday midnight. You can scan this QR code right here, get 50% off membership, all my live streams and stream replays, shortcuts database. And trust me, there's going to be some wild shortcuts over the next year as we get into iOS 27. If you missed my action button shortcuts, I'll link that video over there and my WWDC recap where I covered high level everything that was announced at today's keynote. That was actually this morning as I record. You can check that out right over here. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.